So, when you lease a commercial space, you'd think you're paying for the space you actually use, right? But that's almost never the whole story. Turns out the number on your lease and the actual space within your walls can be two very different things. And believe me, understanding that difference is absolutely crucial. So let's unlock this little secret.
To see what I mean, just imagine this. You've got two companies, and they both sign a lease for what they're told is 5,000 square feet. But at the end of the year, one of them has paid over $22,000 more than the other. How on earth does that happen? Well, it's not a mistake. It's a fundamental concept in commercial real estate that, honestly, every single tenant needs to get their head around.
Okay, so let's look at this side by side. See, both leases clearly state the usable area is 5,000 square feet. But look closer. Lease B's rent is calculated on 5,750 square feet. So where did that extra 750 square feet just magically appear from? That's the mystery we are about to solve. All right, to get to the bottom of this, we've got to start with the space you actually get to call your own. This is the first piece of the puzzle. It's called the Net Rentable Area, or you'll see it as NRA. You know, the easiest way to think about NRA is it's exactly what you think it is. It's the actual private space that is all yours exclusively. It's the square footage you can literally lock the door on at the end of the day. So what are we talking about here? Well, it's your private offices, your conference rooms, that little storage closet in the back, even an in-suite kitchen or your own private bathroom. Basically, this is your domain. It's the space you control and work in every single day. Simple enough, right? But here's the big twist. The space you use is rarely the full amount you actually pay for. And to understand why, we need to bring in the second key term, the Gross Rentable Area, or GRA. Okay, so the Gross Rentable Area is the number your landlord is really looking at when they write up your rent check. It starts with your private space, that NRA we just talked about, and then it adds a little something extra on top, your proportional slice of the building's shared common areas. So what exactly are they adding on? Well, think about it. We're talking about the main building lobby, all those shared hallways, the elevators, the public restrooms, even the building's mechanical rooms. You need them, you use them, but you don't own them exclusively, and yet you still have to pay for your share. Okay, so that leads to the big question, right? How does a landlord figure out your exact share of all that common space? What's the secret ingredient that kind of inflates your private area into your total rentable area? It's called the load factor. And honestly, the best way to wrap your head around it is to think of it as a common space tax. It's just a percentage that the landlord taxes onto your private square footage to cover your share of everything else. This one little percentage, well, it's the key to this entire puzzle. And the math behind it is actually pretty straightforward. You take your private space, the NRA, let's stick with our 5,000 square feet, then you multiply it by the building's load factor, let's say it's 15%, that gives you an extra 750 square feet. You add that back to your original 5,000 and voila, your gross rentable area is 5,750 square feet. And that's the number your rent is based on. Okay, so now we know what it is. But the real story here is why this matters so much. Because this isn't just some academic term. This one little percentage has huge, real-world financial consequences. You can think of the load factor as a grade for the building's efficiency. A lower percentage is way better for you, the tenant. A typical office might have a load factor somewhere between 15 and 20%. But an older, less efficient building, man, that could have a factor of 25% or even higher. That means a full quarter of your rent check could be going towards space you don't even control. And this is exactly why you can't just compare rent prices at face value. It's not apples to apples. Building A at $35 a foot might seem way more expensive than Building B at $30. But if Building A's price is based on the usable area and Building B's is based on the bigger rentable area, well, once you do the real math, you find out Building A is actually the better deal. And for investors, the stakes get even higher. A simple 10% mix-up between usable and rentable area on a $50 million property can create a $5 million error in its valuation. The scale is just staggering. So, how do you protect yourself from all this? Whether you're a tenant looking for space or an investor buying a building, you absolutely need a due diligence checklist. So here's what you gotta look for before you even think about signing on the dotted line. First, be really skeptical of unusually high load factors. Anything over 25% should set off some alarm bells about that building's efficiency. Second, always double check the landlord's measurements with your own. And finally, watch out for any tricky changes to how common areas are calculated when it's time to renew your lease. These are the red flags you just can't afford to ignore. So the next time you're looking at a property and someone throws a square footage number at you, it all comes down to one simple but incredibly powerful question that you now know how to ask. When they give you that number, what are they really counting? Because knowing the answer to that, well, that makes all the difference in the world.